One of our brethren some years ago spoke of the payment of tithing as fire insurance. Nonetheless, the word of the Lord is clear that those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of his coming. For that shall be a day of judgment, a day of sifting, a day of separating the good from the evil. I would venture a personal opinion that no event has occurred in all the history of the earth as dreadful as will be the day of the second coming, as fraught with the destructive forces of nature, as consequential for the nations of the earth, as terrible for the wicked, and as wonderful for the righteous.
Among the most common sexual sins, pregnancy and abortion, all ugly sins, but in and of themselves, they're pernicious evils.
All right, Travis Wingedzel got caught up multitasking too much. You know, you've got too many things that you're multitasking when going to the bathroom gets put on a list. All right, comment reply time. James and Jasmine. All right, so young, dumb, and full of Holy Spirit. When you don't know the doctrine, the first thing you should say is, I don't know. And instead, Mormons and missionaries just don't get it. Okay. So I don't see an email, so it's just the two. One from James, one from Jasmine. See, James and Jasmine are not Mormon. Missionaries knocked on the door. They wanted to hear the message. They were wanting to investigate religion. This was a golden opportunity for the Mormons, for the missionaries, and they blew it. This is the problem of sending little kids out on a mission, is because retention is very low as a consequence. But as was exposed today, the church's operation weed out the disloyal non-participants is well underway, as it's already been accomplished here in Utah. That was the news story from last night, even though the sociologist, which used psychology because they used a poll, were revealing. See, because I know of the fraudulent tactics of psychology that has infiltrated sociology and other fields, I'm able to separate out the BS from the factual information that they were incapable of using Socratic method theory development to have tested. And so the one woman was just speculating. And so yes, that's why Nelson had switched to saying that only Mormons who pay something to the church, specifically tithing, get to be called participants in Mormonism. And thus a big mass excommunication already took place by Nelson, even though he's still keeping the membership records for the purpose of financial frauds. Which again, these sociologists have no clue. They chose to study Mormonism and have no clue. It's because they're not actually studying Mormonism. They have not been taught properly how to do it. And so, because they blew it, James and Jasmine get to taunt them as they continually ask the missionaries, "Why have you abandoned us? Are we not good enough for exaltation?" Because that's what the missionaries did. They gave up on them. James and Jasmine didn't refuse to see them ever again. It was the missionaries who couldn't answer their questions. Not even the mission president could answer their questions. Nobody can resolve their concerns. And there's serious stuff that the church needs to answer for. And so, yeah, good for them to put the missionaries in their place. But the church specifically is winding things down and only wanting to get as much money as they can. And so, yeah, technically the church doesn't want these missionaries pursuing people who will not convert. It has nothing to do with helping Mormons learn how to learn Mormonism and going through the basic principles and doctrines and helping them understand what will be expected once they join the church, which missionaries leave out. They go out on their missions, say, "Hey, feel the Spirit." And those who say, "Oh, okay, I feel good about this, I'll join." And then they have to pay, and then they realize that they have to pay for other things and pay for even more things. It gets expensive to be a faithful Mormon. You can't really be casual in the Mormon church like you can Catholicism or other religions that don't require you pay an entrance fee to hear the guy speak. Like the mega churches do. Yeah, I wonder. The Righteous Gemstones? Was that the name of was it HBO or Showtime? I kind of liked that one, even though it was extremely disturbing. I wanted to know what happens next. But then COVID hit and ruined a lot of TV, and then the strike this year. So I don't know if they're going to be pursuing that again. Avenue 5, I think, was the other one. There was a space show on HBO, I think. I wanted to know what happened next on that one. A lot of stuff ruined. So anyway, let's get to it. Hey Travis, I warned you to get your Kleenex ready, did I not? You haven't laughed this much all year put together. I don't think you've been with me the whole year, have you? I think it's just been a few months. But, well, yeah, because at the beginning of this year, I was able to break free from the latest bondage of the church and got into this place. Dear God. But, yeah. And so, yeah, I was able to get out just in time to start doing the month stuff for conference, and it was the theme for this April conference was the name of the church. There were a lot of confused Mormons. I don't understand. What do you mean it's not the name of Joseph Smith's church? Mormons just will not study. And James and Jasmine do. That's why they have questions. That's why the church prophets refused to answer Mormons' questions. Passed it off to the stake president for disciplinary action. How dare you ask a question? You're supposed to just trust us and have faith. Keep paying the money. Dear God. When the Book of Mormon says in the learning of the Jews, and the name of the church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and you learn that another testament of Jesus Christ got put onto the title of the Book of Mormon almost 200 years afterward. Dear God, 150 years afterward. And Mormons are unable to see what was going on. I mean, for me, I didn't have Google search as a kid, but now there is no excuse for anybody to be ignorant on a subject matter. All you have to do is Google search it. If you don't know what Joseph Smith was talking about with the first creed of Christianity, all you have to do is Google search it. It's not complicated. And I should know I'm computer illiterate, and I can figure it out. But for some reason, Mormons just won't, and it could be because they're Danites. They don't want to find out because they know they're wrong. They are militant. They're in key positions of power here in the state of Utah to take it back. And that's why they are weeding out the weak, as they see it. That's why they're obtaining the social media documents to find out who's loyal and who's not. And that's why Nelson changed it to participation by paying money, because they can identify who's faithful by the financial receipts. You pay, there's a receipt of your loyalty. That's what he's doing. And Mormons are in denial that that's what he's doing. I just, seriously, you think you're going to gaslight me? God. And critics, dear God, why aren't you catching on to this? You should be freaking out, panicking. And you don't even know that this is repeating history. So, I love... Are you sure you're not spying on me? Jasmine? There's no way you can love my spirit. I will replace your Kleenex. Your first produced movie should be Let Me Give You the Spirit, ladies. Now you got to use Mormon lingo. Even in the church, there's already sexual innuendo among men and women that doesn't cover what your elders did. In regards to Britney Spears, if I told you you had a nice body, would you hold it against me? In Mormonism, women talk about wanting to hold the priesthood by holding a man. We have our own version. And so, yeah, with the spirit, that's why I looked up how many scriptures have spirit in them. 1091. Just go through and replace them. Oh my God. Those elders, dear God. Believe it or not, I don't comment these things to be funny, but now that I know how you look at things, I would assume it would be funny to you. Yeah, it's a Mormonism. Because you haven't been born and raised in the Covenant Mormon, there's a lot of Mormonisms that I'm sure go way over your head when I speak it. I do a lot of quoting of scripture from the Book of Mormon, from Joseph Smith specifically, because the videos are intended to be tailored towards Mormons. And so I can understand if you have a lot of questions, because I'm not stepping back and going, okay, wait a minute. My audience has changed as I'm now wanting to communicate with Jasmine. She knows nothing of Mormonism, so I got to use my worldly lingo. And that's what I've had to do because of my research and my career field, educational field and studies. There are specific terms for the field that I'm in. And so I learned immediately when I came to Utah and was trying to explain to the single women after I got abandoned, betrayed, and abused, and is that I needed to figure out an easier way to explain what I do and what I accomplished and such like that. And it's taken some time as I'm trying to figure out their level of understanding and education, and what is the easiest way to present it. That's why I'm not too concerned that I have to keep repeating the same information all these years, because one, it's a new audience for the most part, and it's a different presentation, hoping that one of these methods of presentation will finally click in somebody's head, and that they will leave the church and we can all gather together and leave Utah before the church destroys it so that they can get their kingdom back, claiming martyr victims. And so, yeah, I am aware of that. And so if you have questions, please ask. Don't feel like you're a blonde because you have to ask. No, it's your mom's generation. Ask. I understand. We're not laughing during these talks until after we go over them and start writing the comments about them. I can't even wait until after I do the video. I say it and it hits me. And so, yeah, she's now talking about the 42-minute mix that she made for me. And and telling me what my next slideshow will be. I shouldn't get in trouble for that, should I? Nope. Not at all. Not at all. I'm a lonely guy. And so, chubby, really? LOL. That's very spirited of you. My question is, when I get the Spirit, I should have the right feeling, right? What is that feeling exactly? You will know it when it comes. And James. We just watched your video. We are still laughing. It's the same one, young, dumb, and full of the Holy Spirit. Thank you for having Jasmine almost pee her pants. Oh my God. Would the magic underwear protect her from that? If you were to ask the missionaries, well, join the church and find out. That's one of the extra payments you have to make in the church, is that you have to buy the Mormon exclusive underwear after you go through the temple. And then you get threatened on a regular basis by your bishop. Not just in the temple recommend renewal interview, but also in the tithing renewal. They throw that in too, I think, or at least the one bishop I had did in West Valley. And so, dear God. But yeah, the church threatens Mormons to keep quiet about the underwear they have. And so it took Romney running for president for that to get exposed. And yet, despite it getting exposed, I'm still not seeing the sufficient number. I'm not seeing anybody, really, who's modeling the underwear. Because for those of you who don't check, if you want to search for underwear to buy, yeah, tons of underwear online, people modeling the underwear. But when it comes to the Mormon underwear, no, you won't find it. If you type it in, you get temple dresses for women. And a couple of guys being funny, which is not funny, it's gross and sick and wrong. But no, nobody will even model it and rebel to show it. There are some that do close-ups, but it's... No. If a woman's going to model something, we need to see her modeling it. We don't need her head cut off. And so that goes for all things, dresses and stuff like that. I'm very picky. It's not about the outfit for women's fashion for me. It's about the woman in the outfit. I want to see you. So, too many photographers who don't know how to do it right. And when it comes to Mormons, they're threatened not to show. Don't you dare. It's porn. But my nakedness is covered. It's porn. And so, yes, Mormons are paranoid about exposing their garments with their clothing, and that's why women have been vocal about needing to modify the garments for the changing women's fashion so that they can go out in public and not have their garments showing. because it's believed that they're exposing themselves as slut whores for some reason. But that's the abuse that the patriarchal authority puts on women. And women don't say it. They just believe it in the abuse, which is a version of Stockholm Syndrome. And so, yeah, the church is the cause of Mormon women being the highest per capita in Utah, or in the world, in Utah being the highest depression drug takers. And it doesn't help that family services helps perpetuate that. So that if a Mormon woman is not able to be perfect, they end up going to family services, and family services says, well, yeah, you're just depressed. Let me give you some drugs to control your behavior and calm you down from your hysteria. Too much abuse against women. And I don't know if I should regret what I experienced as a kindergartner or not. Because of my experience as a kindergartner with what I witnessed happening to Beth, I have been a vocal advocate of women and wanting to free them from abuse of authority. And yet at the same time, Mormon women don't want to be saved, which is common for those under Stockholm Syndrome. In domestic abusive relationships. But that's also why Gwyneth Paltrow's earlier movies appealed to me, because she played a beaten woman, abused woman, in her earlier shows. And then when she did Shakespeare in Love, she became the it girl. And then she got dumped by Brad Pitt, and then she tanked. And started doing vagina-scented candles. But yeah, I did notice that those types of movies have appealed to me over the years. And it wasn't because I enjoyed seeing women get abused, quite the opposite. It's because of that kindergarten experience. And it pisses me off that my dad threw our class picture away. Tried to erase me from history, and he almost succeeded. My mom saved one binder of pictures. That was it. That's all I got for my life that I was able to recover. I still can't believe he outlived my mom. James goes on to say, have you thought about starting a video series about... I really don't want to go there. We would watch that on repeat. I would... The Joe Gao or Go, who was a chancellor at a university that was in the news last night, that got fired, and he says it was because they had found out that he and his wife had been doing porn for years. That is disturbing that would happen, as he's been doing it for years. And now all of a sudden when they find out, they decide to fire him? For what? You know, what standard is the university using here? And the only standard for why a company would fire somebody for doing porn with only his wife would be a religious standard and value. And for a university to employ religious standards at a secular university, not a religious university, that's unacceptable. But as we're seeing in the news, we're seeing a lot of universities that are letting anti-Semitism and other hates, some are not legitimate because they're terrorists. But the fact that the university can't distinguish between terrorism and anti-Semitism is also disturbing. But again, to remind everybody about California versus Miller, or Miller versus California, I think it was, is that there were 3 tests that a subject that is under question as to whether it's obscene or not, and thus pornographic, has to meet all 3 criteria. All 3. Not just one of the 3, not 2 of the 3. All 3 must be met to say, yes, that is now obscene, because it doesn't meet any of this. And so the first one is what YouTube uses, community standards and guidelines. But YouTube doesn't use the following 2, per se. Well, the second one they do too, but they go beyond that. The second one is oozings. We'll just summarize it as that. The Spirit. And the third one is, it is not educational, aesthetic, scientific. Not. However, videos, magazines, photos are automatically art. And when it has to do with a woman's body, it's scientific and educational. Even if they're having sex, even if there's the spirit involved, it still is artistic, scientific, and educational. But YouTube doesn't care. Religion definitely don't care. And so they use as their justification the first one. We are offended with our standards and values, and we want to impose our standards and values on the rest of the world. And that went beyond the intention of that decision, which conformed to the First Amendment. Freedom of expression as understood by freedom of speech. Plus, the Constitution itself talks about supporting scientific endeavors and the arts and any new technologies. And so whenever a new technology comes around, yeah, it always involves females, because women are the greatest art form in the world, obviously. But you get these religious homemakers who are deeply offended that their husband's going to leave them. If you were loving your husband, he would not leave you. And then we find out that to solve that problem, there are husbands who let their wives do the pool boy as he watches. Or Catholic priests who sex traffic the choir boys or the altar boys. Not just in Pennsylvania, but surrounding states. course, then there's Mormonism, with its debauchery of sexual deviances. But this is because religion's standards and values are extremist. When they deny art, when they deny education, when they deny science. These are the consequences. We are human beings in the physical realm. You can't deceive us because our natural bodies will burst with the spirit. But that's what the church wants, so that they can control you, have you go to the bishop and control your behavior to get you to obey them, both men and women. It is abuse that YouTube is perpetuating on behalf of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and all evangelical Christians. But, yeah, I could, well, I wouldn't do porn, obviously. But I did inform Jasmine that if she wanted me to send her the latest stuff that I'm finding, I'm okay with that. And if you are wanting me to do a video slideshow of it, I can do that too. That would be quick and easy to do also, rather than sending a whole bunch of different pictures. But for me, what Jasmine does is send me videos and pictures. And that's both cool. But yeah, I need to find apps. And I'm struggling. Everybody else is finding these apps and being able to do things. You know, like you guys are able to put the picture or a moving image or even a video in the upper screen here while you're doing a talking. I see this with gamers on YouTube. They'll have their little face playing the game, and then you see the big screen with the game that they're playing. I see that a lot. But I can't find it. I can't find a program that will let me do that. I have one guy that was emailing me. He had sent me a link to a program that I downloaded, but I haven't gotten around to it, and it's been at least a year or two now, hasn't it? Dear God. But yeah, every new technology, I'm computer illiterate. I have to set aside time to try to figure out how to use it and get it to do what I want it to do. And if I can't figure it out quick enough, if it's not doing what I want to do when I want it done and requires that I read a manual or something to try to figure out what it to do to get it to do what I want it to do, I can't do that. I'm too impatient. But yeah, I can do something for you on this one and send it exclusively to you guys. I would never do it publicly online. I don't do that. And so yeah, we'll see how you like it. If that's what you want, I'll do it. But yeah, dear God, there's just so much hatred, and we were told that this was going to happen, and Mormons see it in other people and think that the church is true, therefore. They don't get it, that it's them. So, wow, 2:30. I think my laundry finished. The car noise replaced it. Alrighty, so that's it for this video. No more comments. I silenced everybody. Alright. we doing on those two videos anyway? Why Can't Mormons Discern is doing a little better. My scale of judgment typically for the average, because of YouTube suppression, is 10 views per hour. That's when I know that a video is doing well. And the further the hours matching the 10 per, the better. And what I see on my videos page is not the same as the analytics page. And that's because of the analytic program that is not real stats. That's what ruined Blockbuster Video. And yet other companies are still using it. And YouTube got busted. When was that? Was that 2020 or 2021 or 2022? One of those years, YouTube collapsed in the stock market and crashed Google's stock. And so Google ordered YouTube to flood their site with more advertising, which hurt them even more. Dear God. And so yeah, the 600,000, that's dying. Which is a shame, because that's just a 2-minute video. It should be quick and easy for people to watch, and they won't. I'm the only one who covered it. Nobody else is covering this, only the news. And Anonymous Mormon, or whatever the queer woman's channel name is, she'll get to it 3 weeks from now. I found out! And she just has no clue what it's about. Alright. So yeah, after the multitasking, I'm at an impasse. I found out my Star Trek Discovery Season 1 does not have captions for the Klingon. And so I either have to find my PDF on the Klingon dictionary and learn Klingon, or I have to rebuy it and make sure it's converted into a digital format. Dear God. So, alrighty. Yeah, I'll send you a sample of what. I'll send you a sample in a video form for you. Hang on.